What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard Grant Cohn production. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He's Grant Cohn. What's up? Happy Wednesday, Grant.
Happy Wednesday, Rob. I'm fired up. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fired up too. And I got to start this show by giving you praise. First of all, I want to praise all our new YouTube channel members. Thank you very much. Please sign up for that. Less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, priority comment response, membership badges. So please, please, please do that. Now, on to the praise for you, sir. You are the only person that I have seen report anything from rookie minicamp. Everyone I know is using your article that you wrote, stock up, stock down for rookie minicamp. So just thank you, because you're my connection to the team. So thank you.
Thanks. This is how I made my mark on the beat 12 years ago. I started like right after the lockout ended. It was training camp, and I was trying to figure out how to stand out on a beat with Matt Mayoko and Matt Barrows and all these great heavy hitters. And I realized they were giving really brief synopses of practice. And I was thinking, man, I got all these notes. I think people would want to know. I'm just going to write as much as I possibly can. And you know what? It worked.
Well, I'm amazed that there hasn't been more coming out of this, because I'm desperate for just tell me how people are doing. I want something on the field to talk about. So let's get into that. Louis Riddick said something on the Rich Eisen show, which I think is going to spark a little quarterback conversation. And we can get into how the Niners apparently pissed off the entire NFL because they got a scheduling situation that is pretty brutal. So we'll get into all that, but we'll start with rookie minicamp. First thing I got to know, does Jake Moody look good? How's he kicking these field goals, man?
I'm on kicker watch now. I honestly didn't watch Jake Moody in this practice because there was no special teams practice where it was all of a sudden spotlight on him. I thought he was warming up on the side, and I'm sure he did great. But at a certain point, I'm gonna have to watch. I was more watching Latu, Willis, the offensive guys. The defensive guys, they're playing 7-on-7. So Jair Brown didn't get an opportunity to make any plays. Darrell Luter Jr. looked good, but he can't put his hands on people and do press coverage. I was really looking at the skill players. And Latu, he dropped a pass, which kind of isn't great because he did a little bit of that in college. But just looking at him, he's really large. He makes George Kittle look like a small tight end, and I think Kyle's gonna be able to. If Latu can just hold on to the ball in the flat, he can run over people. And then Willis looks like a guy who can really beat man-to-man coverage. They're different. Latu's the first and second down tight end. Good blocker. And then on play action bootlegs, get him a little bit of space. Who the hell's going to tackle him? Physical guy. But then on third down, I don't think he's going to beat any safety man-to-man, one-on-one, but Willis can. Willis is a guy, he may not be a tight end, or you could call him a slot receiver or a fullback or whatever. You put a safety or a linebacker on him, that's a mismatch. And that's the fifth option in your progression. So those two guys are really interesting. Ronnie Bell looks good. He looks tough. They had this tryout guy named Ja'Cour Pearson that they haven't signed yet. I liked him a lot. He had a long deep catch. Yeah, it was interesting. And they had it all with Steven Montez and Clayton Thorson at quarterback.
Yeah, Clayton.
So I'm surprised they even did anything. Yeah, Clayton. Do you remember Clayton? Have you seen Clayton Thorson play quarterback at Northwestern?
No.
No, me neither. Anyway. He's
the only other guy in the league that has the internal brace. Nick Mullins, Clayton Thorson, and now Brock Purdy. Yeah, he has the exact same injury as Brock Purdy. He had the torn UCL.
Clayton Thorson was letting it fly.
Hey, maybe that's a good sign for Brock. I don't know.
Sure, that is. Hey, maybe that can't be a. Actually, now that you put it that way, that can't be a coincidence that they brought in a guy with that. They must want to see what that looks like.
Huh. I don't think it's by accident. Otherwise, you think they were desperate to get Clayton Thorson in there?
No, very interesting. Okay, so because I thought Steven Montez is going to be the pseudo Trey Lance mobile quarterback, although Steven Montez looked like he was in terrible shape. Sorry, Steven.
Ooh, that's not.
He's seen better days. I don't know.
Does my suspicion that they're hoping that Willis can eventually take over a Kyle Juszczyk kind of role, does that seem possible to you after seeing him in person?
So much of what Juszczyk does is because of his blocking. I don't know how Willis blocks, but I kind of see him as more of a Ross Dwelley, like the actual replacement for Ross Dwelley, the backup, the guy who can be, instead of having to have a backup fullback and a backup tight end on the roster, you have one guy who does both. And that was kind of when Kittle goes down, all of a sudden Dwelley's the fullback, and he's not really great at it, but you have to have someone do it. That could be Willis. Yeah, that could be Willis.
Okay. So Also, you wrote something about Ronnie Bell, how you were like, when you saw him physically, you were like, geez, I don't know. But then he impressed you when he actually had to catch a football.
Yeah, he's looks kind of small, and he has number 10, so it's like right away, it's like, oh, Kyle Williams, like, oh, I don't know about this, and then he's running. It's like, God, pick another number. But and then he runs around. It's like he's really. I want to think Dante Pettis, but even Dante Pettis was a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit more. I mean, a second round pick. There's a difference between him and Ronnie Bell. You watch Ronnie Bell and you're like, yeah, that's a 7th round pick right there. But then all of a sudden, there was this stretch where he caught a 40-yard pass on a post where he like dove and caught it over the safety and like landed on his back. It was like, oh, like in a rookie mini camp. Like, not to pile on Dante Pettis, but he never would have done that. I mean, his whole attitude was, man, it's May. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like that was his. That's why I wrote him off in rookie minicamp. Like he went over the middle, he alligator armed a pass. Like let's kind of let it went by. And his attitude was, man, it's practice. I'm like, I don't think you can do that here, man. And
Can
that
I
was
call you out though, just for once. Like,
please,
you
can't
have
stop.
got more mileage out of
Dante Pettis.
Dante Pettis drop in rookie minicamp than anybody I've ever seen.
It's like the first impression that I was right about. I was like, you know what? I don't need to see anymore. This is it.
Right.
Like you can't do that in these practices. I've never seen anyone do that. So sorry, Dante. He's on his third. He got another contract. He's still in the league. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, neither did I. But I guess
No.
good for him.
Good for him.
All right, well that's cool because I'm
Bell.
rooting for Bell. You know, I think
Competitor.
that in a perfect world, they let Jawan Jennings walk after this year, and Ronnie Bell just takes over that spot as like a third down guy. You know, not an every down guy on the outside, but someone that has a very specific role and can do one thing really well.
Yeah, I think he could replace some of what Jennings does, and Braden Willis could too. I look at Willis as what he can do as a receiver. I bet you when we get to training camp and they do these one-on-one drills, he's going to be really tough to stop. That's my guess. And I bet you Latu won't be really tough to stop in those drills. You know, when you get him in space and you have to tackle him, no one's going to want to do that. He's huge.
So then let's flip it now. Who maybe kind of didn't impress as much as you would have hoped?
Latu, I'd like to see him catch the ball, man. Like they threw him the ball over the middle and he just dropped it. Like Willis won't do that. Kittle won't do that. And if you can't catch the ball in traffic, then what is your skill set as a wide receiver? Like as a receiver, there, McLuhan was comparing you to Tony Gonzalez. Like Tony Gonzalez is one of the best route runners. Tony Gonzalez was uncoverable, unguardable. So I'd like to see a little bit more finesse from Latu. Like catch the ball, get open. Don't just tell me that you can run over people after like in a real game. Him. And then D Winters, I don't know what my expectations were. Like he's a late 6th round pick, and they were compared him to
Greenlaw.
Dre Greenlaw. He runs a 4.4. I guess I was thinking, man, this guy's gonna start right away. Like maybe not. Like and that's not even a bad thing. Like maybe he'll take him a year before he can really make his impact because they got this Marcelino McCrary ball that they've been molding for a little while, and he looks good too. He was even there, which I think speaks well for him. Like some 2nd and 3rd year guys were at this rookie mini camp, like Jason Poe. But then I think McCrary Ball and Niners were like, you know what? You're looking good. Why don't you hang out? We'll see you at OTA. So Winters, I guess, I looked at him as more beyond the redshirt plan. But maybe I'm wrong. Just a snap judgment of him.
The Niners do that a lot. They really like to give people a year of seasoning, which I don't always agree with, but whatever. Speaking of Jason,
they're good, right? I mean, if they stunk, you could play whatever. But like, everyone. It's kind of like the Warriors. Like, if you can't come on this team and play a specific role right away, whether it's on 3rd down or on special teams, like they don't have the reps for you, buddy. Sorry. Like we'll see you next year. Pretty much.
Is Jason Poe going to be a thing? I'm kind of rooting for him to be a thing.
It seems like it's either going to be him or Joey Fisher. One of those two guys is going to be the right guard prospect project out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. They both got reps at right guard in minicamp, and they're competing essentially with like John Feliciano and Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford's interesting because he was bad last year, but he was a rookie, and you could be like, well, I mean, they were just trying to get him on the field. Like Banks would have been bad if he played as a rookie. Like maybe that experience was good for him. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens to him in year 2. Because the way I see with Burford is he's got long arms. He's got a good frame for the position at right guard, but he's really not strong. Really not strong. And he kind of got bullied, especially in pass protection by NFL D tackles, like backup D tackles, you know? So now you got Poe, who doesn't have the length, but he's freaking hella strong. Joey Fisher doesn't have the length, really strong. So we'll see what plays better for the 49ers. Like length and quickness or strength and quickness. I don't know. It seems like they might be going a different direction at right guard, in which case Poe has a chance and Fisher has a chance too.
Fisher didn't make it through the minicamp practice though, right?
He did not. And I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt on this one because he doesn't look like he's overweight. He looked like he's dehydrated. Like he was working really, really hard the last few weeks to get signed. And he didn't understand how hot it gets in Santa Clara. Like it says it's 75 degrees, but it feels way hotter than that. There's no shade and there's no breeze and there's no humidity. And you dry out quick. And I don't think he knew about that. I mean, a player died on the 49ers like 20 years ago in training camp. It's no joke. So, I mean, now he knows. Now he knows what it's like. I think he was just a little excited, probably. I wouldn't hold it against him. Yeah.
Wow. See, that's Graham being nice, people.
I'm trying to be nice. These are rookies. Only time I'm hard on the rookie is if it's Dante Pettis 5 years ago.
Yes.
Only time. Sorry.
All right. That's cool. And thank you very much for that. Because like I said, I feel like I have not been able to get rookie minicamp news from anybody else. So that is greatly appreciated. Let's move on.
Strange.
Now. Let's get, it is strange. Not surprising, but let's move on to something that Louis Riddick said on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. Because once again, somebody else has weighed in on the quarterback situation for the 49ers. And Louis Riddick told Rich Eisen, I'll tell you what, I had someone tell me this recently. They believe that Sam Darnold in that match with Kyle Shanahan out there, that could finally be the spot that totally makes him become the out of nowhere surprise of the year. And you and I had different takeaways. I'll let you explain yours first, and then we can get to mine.
Well, my first reaction was, here's another national insider who has no connection to the 49ers speculating for attention. And I'm like, man, Louis Riddick, that's so beneath you. Like Ian Rappaport seems to do it a lot. And he doesn't even hide that he's speculating. He's just like saying, hey, I didn't hear. I'm just trying to put the tea leaves together. Like, man, you're not a tea leaf reader. You're a reporter. Pick up the phone. Now it's like, oh, Riddick, you're reading tea leaves too? But then he actually says, so he talked to someone and he said, someone who I trust implicitly when it comes to quarterback play. And it's like, okay, like, is this your high school quarterback coach? Like, why would you say that? How is that relevant? Okay, it's only relevant to me if it's someone who really has expertise in quarterbacks and is connected to this team in some way. He's not going to come out and say it because obviously he doesn't want to blow the lid. I mean, if he has a connection, he doesn't want to blow the lid off who it is. So I'm looking at Louis Riddick. Just so happens that he was in the Monday Night Football booth with Steve Levy and Brian Griese. They worked together on Monday Night Football. Someone he trusts implicitly when it comes to quarterback play. I think Brian Griese would qualify. And if he has, I would think he has Brian Griese's number. They literally work together. And I'm not accusing Griese. I don't know. It just seems like, man, who else would make sense here? And if he texts Griese and is like, so what's up with Trey? And Griese's like, man, I don't know. And I don't know about Purdy, but let me tell you something off the record. Man, I really like Sam. Like, it would explain how every single insider from Mike Florio to Ian Rappaport is like, look, man, I keep hearing about Griese. Not Griese, about Darnold. Anyway, like, I don't think Kyle Shanahan's talking to people off the record. Maybe Lynch is, but wow. Now that Riddick said this, I'm thinking, what about the quarterback coach? I can't prove it. I don't know, but
that's interesting.
Yeah,
so that's the whole 49ers don't leak theory, by the way. This was my takeaway. First of all, like, is there one dude in San Francisco that loves Darnold and is just telling everyone, like telling Ian, telling Louis Riddick?
Maybe.
Or are there a bunch of people in the 49ers that like Darnold, and so they're all talking? But then the other thought I had was this. Why is there no one in San Francisco
talking about Trey
Lance? No one. There's no quote like this from anyone other than Kyle and John, who have a very real reason to talk him up to try and trade him. No one else is saying, hey, they really like Trey Lance. Trey Lance looks really good. There's none of that coming from anybody.
Well, let's stick with Griese for a second. I'm not accusing, but it's a working hypothesis. He has this close working relationship with Louis Riddick, and he was in the media. Let's say it's Griese who is expressing these sentiments off the record. I don't know. If it is, he didn't pick Trey. He inherited Trey.
Right.
He helped pick Purdy. It's conceivable that he helped pick Darnold. And it's just human nature. Like, when you put your name and reputation behind picking someone and bringing them in, you have more invested in making it work. When you inherit someone, I mean, you might want to make it work. You might think you can make it work, but when it doesn't, you have a million excuses. Well, I never picked this guy. He's not my guy. He got hurt. I don't know what's going on with him. Like, yeah, I mean, it could work out, but I like Sam Darnold. Like, that's how it goes. Especially if you put your name on the line, like, yeah, bring him in. I could do something with him. So that would just make it make sense. Of course, people are talking up Sam Darnold because the people in the organization who are here haven't been here that long. And, Trey Lance precedes him. A lot of these guys on offense.
People always like to pick their guys and get their guys
every time
into the team. That's an interesting idea. And plus, Trey was gone. I mean, I know he was in the facility, but he was hurt. Like, he wasn't in the trenches with them going through it last year with Greasy's first year. PJ
right.
Watching on YouTube says it's painful to watch national media coverage on the 49ers. Eisen said they had to pick a kicker in the 3rd round because they have a complete roster. Really? What about right tackle, defensive end, depth on the overall offensive line? Yeah, they didn't have to pick a kicker. They clearly chose to pick a kicker. There's certainly other places they could have upgraded.
Well, can I ask you a question about Rich Eisen? When was the last time he criticized the 49ers about anything?
Good point.
He is their national advocate. Like, he is their defense attorney. And, like, look, they do a lot of good stuff, but they're not perfect. There's a lot of things you could say, like, hey, could be a little bit better here. But every offseason, he comes out and, like, pushes back against any criticism of this team. Like, you'd almost, like, think he has a personal relationship with Mike Shanahan or something. What's up with that?
The Niners have a lot of those guys in the national
league.
A lot of them.
They do.
God, remember Trent Dilfer talking about Jim Tom Sula? They win that game against the Vikings. Look at the 49ers. Jim Tom Sula. Dude, give me a break.
Oh, is that week 1 who they faced? It was the Vikings? I forgot. I was talking about that yesterday. I thought it was the Rams. No, that was Chip Kelly the next year.
I think it was Minnesota. Didn't Carlos Hyde do that spin move? And
yes.
Touchdown?
He was so good in that first week, and then he got destroyed against Pittsburgh the next week. Ooh.
Flav says, Sam Darnold is the better quarterback right now. Trey is years away and likely going to be ugly for a while when he starts playing again.
Light years away.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Light years away. Makes no sense to plan for 4 games if Brock will be back. Okay, Sam, didn't Ryan Hensley offer to bet you about this? You need to put something on the line here. You say Sam's going to start week 1. A lot of people have offered to bet you about this, and you keep spending $10 on super chats to say, like, you're kind of betting on it, but why don't you just make it official, man? Come on. Come on, baby.
At least if you bet, you have a chance to win your money back.
Exactly. You're throwing your money away. Poor Flave.
So is it Flave? Oh, there is an accent.
It's Flave.
My bad. Sorry.
It's all good.
I don't know.
End up being right.
Why do people think Sam Darnold is better than Trey Lance? Sam Darnold is awful. Like, Trey Lance is not great.
Because some people like Flave think that Trey Lance is like Tim Tebow.
Right.
Well, and like, he has, like, there's so little Trey Lance footage that people can say whatever they want about him. Actually, he's really good. Actually, he's the worst quarterback of all time. And you're like, what evidence do I have to argue against you? Like, you must have this third eye that tells you the future. Because I don't know, I'm looking at like 100 throws.
Right.
Or whatever.
Sam Darnold has had way worse games than Trey Lance has ever had. Including last year in that magical 6-year run when he was like 5 of 15 for 43 yards with no touchdowns and 2 picks. Okay. Like, Trey Lance has never had that game.
Dude, that was January 8th. That was 5 months ago. He was 5 of 15. It seems like Sam Darnold is at best a backup quarterback. He's the kind of guy that if you put the best team around him possible, he might not lose the game. But if he has to play 5 games in a row, he's going to find a way to lose some of those games. He absolutely, that's who he is. You can't trust him. He's a backup quarterback.
And he's been that for years. People got
since USC.
Ignoring all the stuff that we've seen from him. Yes, he's going to a better environment. Yes, he's going to have better teammates. Yes, he's got a better scheme. So what? That doesn't fix everything.
Can't trust him.
Even if he's better than he was, he's not going to be Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. So what are we doing here? Like,
he's going to make some decisions that are going to make you hate him. You like him now. You like him now. But he's going to, and he may have a few games where you're like, wow, look at, he's not doing too much. He's not trying to, he's playing within himself. He's not trying to be the hero. He's checking it down. Wait for it. Wait 3-4 weeks. If you don't believe me, and people who follow me or on Niners Twitter, you should know Mr. Roscoe's. He's all around. He makes banners for everybody. He is the biggest USC fan I know. Ask him about Sam Darnold. He will say the nicest things. Can you trust him? Hell No, absolutely not. No. So, I mean, Brian Griese, you could talk yourself in, or whoever. I mean, look, if you signed him and gave him $3.5 million guaranteed, you must have a reason. Of course, you're going to be optimistic, but that can go away real fast.
Real fast.
Real fast.
I'm just sick and tired of having a quarterback where the game plan is to take the ball out of their hands. We don't want him to do too much. Let him hit the check down. No, I want the quarterback
Can't win a Super Bowl that way.
Put the ball in his hands, and I want the fear of God in the defense. Okay, because
Can't
that's
win a
how
Super
I
Bowl
will.
that way.
Yeah. Right, playing the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Crap, he has to pass here. Oh no, God, I hope we can stop him. And guess what? They couldn't in the fourth quarter of that game. That's what I want from my quarterback. Stop looking for a guy that can do it if the team runs like an ungodly amount, or if he doesn't have to straight drop back. No, that is not the standard at quarterback that you need. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't have that franchise quarterback who can drop back 45 times a game and win, and you really have to run, then do you want a game manager like Sam Darnold or maybe Brock Purdy? Or do you want a quarterback like Trey Lance who can enhance the running game as well? Because that's what the Eagles did. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Jalen Hurts. Like, are you really a franchise quarterback? We'll see. Because a lot of times what they do on 3rd and 8, when it's supposed to be a passing down for the rest of the league, is they'll run quarterback draw. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's 4th and 1. And then they never had to pass. And then it's quarterback sneak and it's a first down. Like, they put Jalen Hurts in beautiful situations. They use him in great ways, and I wonder if they can keep doing that when he starts making $50 million a year. It's going to be interesting to see. But the Niners can do a lot of the same things with Trey Lance. I think Kyle Shanahan's smart enough to figure that out. Don't know if his quarterback coach is. We'll have to see. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Corey Soto, the Kyle Shanahan talking to Trey Lance to trade him, and Griese's leaking Sam endorsements either doesn't compute or his poor strategy just doesn't make sense. It's a good point, right? If you're trying to talk up Trey to boost his value, you can't have other leaks outside the organization talking about how good Sam Darnold is. That doesn't hurt.
Well, let me just say, I don't know that Brian Griese is leaking. I have no idea. Not accusing him. Don't know. Don't have any intel there. I'm just saying he worked really closely with Louis Riddick. I just can't imagine who else he was talking about. And clearly, whoever Louis Riddick is talking to doesn't want people to know who they are. It's very important that person is anonymous, probably in their own organization. So that's why I'm being very careful not to accuse anyone, because I don't know, and that person does not want to be known that they're talking.
I could understand you connecting the dots to Griese, but we don't know, and it could be someone else. But I mean, that is a very clear.
He worked with Riddick.
They worked together.
He worked with Riddick. And I never would have even thought it was Griese before Riddick said what he said. He said, someone who I trust implicitly when it comes to the quarterback play. Is it the quarterback you used to work with on national television? Like, why would you even say that?
Who's the current quarterback coach?
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah.
That's not slick at all. Yeah, I don't know.
Louis Riddick said, I'm pretty sure it was Louis Riddick that said the Seahawks are the favorite to win the division in the NFC West this year. So I'm not putting a ton of stock.
I mean, they have a tough schedule too, though, but I could see it. I mean, look, if the Niners are really in the spot right now where they're talking themselves into Sam Darnold, like, that's bad. I believe if Sam Darnold's going to start week 1, like Flave said, oh yeah, man, put your money on the freaking Seahawks, because Sam Darnold is not the next Geno. I feel pretty confident about that. He's the next Blake Bortles.
And people that get paid a lot of money and do this for a living should know that by now. You should know that already. That's the weird thing. Like,
and people are like, well, Kyle wouldn't waste his time. Kyle wouldn't bring in a guy like Sean McVay signed Blake Bortles for the same freaking reason, and with the same. He hasn't been in a franchise like this. He hasn't been with a coach like me. Like, okay, but if he stinks, he's still gonna stink. Like, you can't. That's on him. Like Gabbert too. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Eric Schultz says people love game managers and not game changers. Well, Sam Darnold is a game changer. Technically, it's just usually he changes it in favor of the other team.
The upside with Sam Darnold is like, get him to stop being a complete liability and maybe just manage the game. Like, cool. Is that really worth your time and effort? Maybe if that's your backup quarterback, but
the weird thing is, like, you wouldn't do that at any other position, right? You wouldn't want Debo to be like, well, his ceiling could be he could convert on 3rd and 5. Like, no, you want a guy who can catch a 5-yard pass and take it 80 yards like he did against the Rams on Monday Night Football. Like,
right. Like, you brought in a guy any other position, and his track record for 5 years is, oh yeah, he'll lose games for you. If he's on the field for you, you're going to lose. And he's going to be the reason a lot of the time. Oh yeah, no, we're going to bring him on our team, and he won't necessarily be an impact player, but he won't be a reason we lose. Like, why even waste your time? Why?
I don't get
And
it.
that's why, like, I would have rather just draft a quarterback because that guy doesn't have 5 years of failure that he has to overcome. He doesn't have ghosts he has to stop seeing. He's got a 4-year contract that's cheap. Like, what if Sam Darnold plays well for like 2 months? Are the Niners going to extend him next year? Like, oh, they have this terrible decision. They get a franchise tag him. Like, I don't know. You
And then you
created
don't
this.
have that cheap quarterback room that you've said
No,
is
you
so,
don't.
so important. So it's just it's a weird situation. But I just don't like how we don't have anybody saying how much the Niners like Lance other than Shanahan and Lynch. And they clearly have an incentive to do that if they want to try and move him. And that doesn't.
Let me talk about that. Let me try to address that. To me, that's because there's no one left in the organization who is directly responsible for bringing in Trey except Kyle.
The guy who was already talked about.
Kyle. And again, like, I don't care who Louis Riddick is talking to. I'm fairly confident it's not Kyle. And until Kyle makes up his mind, that's all that matters. So, he could have a quarterback coach who has a preference. Rich Gangarello seemed to have a preference. Like, it's ultimately up to Kyle. And I think Kyle's attitude, he's trying to be transparent here, is like, look, I like all 3 quarterbacks. Let's legitimately have a quarterback competition. That's how we determine every other starter on this team. A competition. We've never done that at quarterback, and maybe that's why there's been so much drama here and camps and this faction thinks this quarterback should start. Like, let's just let it play out. So, hey, guys can have opinions on who's going to win or who they think will win. It's going to play out. And the funny thing is, let's say Sam Darnold starts week 1. He wins this quarterback competition. You get to start week 1 against Pittsburgh. That's great. So what if you lose? What if you win the competition, go to Pittsburgh, put up 7 points and lose? Do you keep the job? Like, did you really win the competition? It's going to be interesting.
Right. And that's even if Trey wins it, if he struggles against Pittsburgh, I mean, the calls are going to come.
The noise is going to be loud.
Yep.
Super loud.
Just like it was last year when he lost to Chicago.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just crazy. I'm so excited. OTA start Monday. Like, this is the beginning of the picture developing. That starts on Monday. Like, I'm pumped for it. I know you'll report what happens. Hopefully the other people in that room with you will actually tell us what the hell is going on.
Have you gotten the exact schedule? I don't think I've gotten it. Because I know OTAs will start. But
I have Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday that week for OTAs.
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday in front of the media. I think only one of the days the media gets to be there, which is
I'm not sure how many days the media will be there.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yep. And then
I got to go to graduation on Friday for my friend. That's good.
Tuesday, Wednesday the next week. Graduation. If you're not graduating, it sucks to go to a graduation. It's terrible. You got to wait 10,000 names you don't know for the one name that you do, and then yay! And then,
well, that's what tequila's for, right? I'm just kidding, kids. Joking.
But we're gonna start to get some answers, which I'm very, very excited about because I want to see, like, is Trey looking better? Like, I've said this many times. It's one thing to see these guys work out, but if you have them on the field at the same time against an actual defense, like, you can tell things. It looks different. When you see all the bodybuilders on stage at the same time, you can immediately pick out the one with the best muscles. Like, and so hopefully that's what happens with Trey.
Well, here's what I think is going to be interesting. Like, first day, what you'll see is, what is the QB rep split? Who's the first quarterback on the field with the first team? I mean, that's a story right there. And then obviously the completion percentage and the touchdowns and stuff, like the competition starts there. Mm-hmm. Also, even more important than that is just Trey's mechanics. Like, what I'll do and what a lot of people do on your iPhone, you can film in slow motion. I like doing this. Just film Trey throwing in slow motion. Say that 5 times fast. And you can just see, like, look at his lower half, look at his front leg. I mean, all the kind of things that people look for. I mean, everyone has something different. There's a lot of experts out there, but all of a sudden people will just pour over that stuff and have a lot to say. I know the Niners have been already, and if there are actual changes, people will be really excited. If there aren't, it looks exactly the same as the last 2 years, people be really concerned. So that's going to be something too. The Rorschach test that is his mechanics.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I know, like, we're not experts or whatever, but, like, I want it. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Even
give me your take. Give me your take. What do you see? What do you see? Yeah.
Give me the takes. Give me the video.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here. Hell, we spent days breaking down 2 throws that were put out by Trey Lance's people on social media. So
2.
yeah. I want the OTA.
Got a lot of mileage out of that. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see that. I want to see what happens with the running backs. Like, is Ty Davis Price ever going to be a thing? Jason Aponte earlier this week said 3 guys that have to ball out are Ty Davis Price, Danny Gray, and Ambry Thomas. Well, that starts next week for those guys.
Yeah. To me, like, I was talking to the coach who I do a show with, and he was saying, like, really how you play in a football season is a reflection of how you worked out in the offseason. Like, you can't really get stronger and faster in the football season. So it's a lot about, like, the work you did. And Ambry, for whatever reason, it didn't seem like he did much work between years 1 and year 2. It seemed like he fell off, and you just can't catch up, especially when Diamador Lenoir's been working his ass off all offseason. And it shows, like, that's why he passed you, man, because of all the work he did in the offseason. So Ty Davis Price, obviously your spot is threatened. How are you going to respond to that? Are you going to come in bigger, faster, stronger than you've ever been and take someone's spot? Or are you going to be like, damn, that sucks. Like, I guess I'm not getting an opportunity here. Like, that's football. It doesn't matter what you did last year. If Jordan Mason comes in here a little chubby this year and didn't work out hard, like, he's going to get cut. We'll see what happens. But last year, Jordan Mason was ready and Ty Davis wasn't. We'll see what happens.
God, I hope. Like, can you do something, Ty Davis Price? Can we not have another 3rd round pick that just does nothing? Like, just do something. Anyway, Danny Gray.
I don't have much hope for Ty Davis Price. I didn't like what I saw him in college. He seemed like kind of like he had one good. You like Trey Sermon. You had like one great game. You ran for 300 yards one time, and I feel like Kyle watched it and was like, "Boo, this guy's great." Okay, watch the rest of the film. Like, nah, man, I got places to be.
Lynch had a really interesting comment. He said that usually what he does when he does his draft prep is start at the top, right? Start with the best players and then get through, and you work to the bottom guys. Because the Niners didn't pick until 99, ultimately 87, he said he started at the bottom and worked his way up. So he started with the crap guys and then worked his way up to the guys that are better. Does that help them make better late round picks? I don't know. I thought it was interesting anyway.
Is that why they just took a kicker and a backup tight end in the third? Yeah, we were really more focused on in round 7 this year, but I guess we got to take someone in round 3. So here we go, kicker.
Danny Gray is somebody I feel like, dude, you had one catch your rookie year. One catch. Like,
that's what I wanted to say. Like, these year 2 guys, I'm really curious, like, which guys have transformed their bodies? Like, which one of these guys that got shelved? Aaron Banks was one last year. Talanoa looked way different last year. You could tell this guy is going to start. Like, he's put in all the work you need. He looks like a starter. Which one of these year 2 guys all of a sudden looks like a legit NFL player? Like, is it Drake Jackson? Because Drake Jackson did not last year. He looked like the T-shirt in the pool guy. That's all. Like, the only way I could describe it. It's like, wait a second, man, you're a 2nd round pick. People say he looks yoked this year. I want to see that, because if he does, I mean, he needs to step up. What does Drake Jackson look like? He's so important this year. Because if he doesn't, like, they might have to sign Yannick Ngakoue like right before week 1 or something like that. They'll give him the whole offseason to prove himself, but he's got a lot to prove.
They're really counting on him to be that other guy on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. And I think he could potentially be that, but like Kyle said, like, dude, you can't run out of gas at the end of the year.
You got to be in tip-top shape now.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
So we'll see with Drake. That's definitely
the other thing that's interesting about these players is, like, so there's OTAs and minicamp, and then there's a 40-day off period between training camp.
About it. Yep.
What do you do? Like, do you work too hard? Do you get fat? Do you rest the right amount? Because after that 40 days off, like, you got about 6 months, no break. Like, it's this off season, like, the real pros know how to handle it. And I feel like the guys who get hurt in the off season either, took it off or went too hard. I mean, it's an art how to handle it in the off season.
This is my conspiracy theory. I'm sure people will love it. I'm going to keep an eye on who does Brandon Ayuk go to work out with in that 40 days.
Who does Brandon Ayuk fight? Sorry.
Because
Brandon Ayuk.
He wants to get paid, right? And he knows he's got to produce if he wants to get paid. So he's got every incentive to do everything he can to get paid. So who's he go to? Does he work out with Darnold in that 40-day period? Does he work out with Trey in that 40-day period? And maybe that gives us a clue as to what direction the quarterback position is pointed in.
See, to me, if I were Brandon Ayuk and I were here, I would probably say, like, hey, man, I don't freaking know. Like, how am I supposed to know? The head coach doesn't know. And he wants to have a competition. Like, what am I supposed to draw straws and guess? I could guess wrong. I have a 67% chance of guessing wrong, Rob. I tried this last year with Trey. I was wrong, Rob.
He can't
wasting my time.
He can't work out with Brock. Okay, so that door is
Hey,
closed.
why are we all discounting Brandon Allen? The Niners have 4 quarterbacks. Brandon Allen, okay, is the senior member of this room.
Ugh. Nico watching on YouTube says, "Can Sam play like Purdy with this offensive line?" Sam is not immobile. Like he can move a little bit. He had that touchdown run. Was it against the Panthers? No, the Broncos, I think it might have been against. He had like a 60-yard touchdown run where I was like, holy hell. Like he's not Jimmy Garoppolo back there. He is more mobile than that. Now, Brock has a very unique kind of escapability that I don't think Sam Darnold has, but Sam can move more than you think.
Put it this like real simple. Brock Purdy believes in Brock Purdy. And it's amazing how much he believes in himself. And I think that's why the team believes in him too. He really believes in himself. Does Sam Darnold believe in Sam Darnold? Does he?
At this point, I don't know. Maybe he did when he first came into the league, but there's some scars.
He never struck me as a particularly confident quarterback, even at USC. And people always made excuses for him. Oh, well, Clay Helton. Does that look like a guy who really believes in himself? Mr. I See Ghost. I don't think so. And if he doesn't believe in himself, how does a team really rally around him for an extended period of time when he's making really, really strange plays and decisions on erratic plays on the maybe he won't anymore. But that's what the impression I have of Sam Darnold, a guy who really lacks confidence.
And if he doesn't believe in himself, how does he somehow keep inspiring belief in people around him? That's the weird
part. He's
a
hard worker. But to me, what everyone says about him is like, yeah, he's a guy who's willing to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. You're describing Blaine Gabbert. Oh, like he didn't take any of the criticism to heart, and he shows up to work, and he's a good guy. Like, yeah, it's a backup quarterback. He's a backup quarterback's mentality. He's not a leader. Doesn't want the pressure. He's happy to blend in and be in the background. Yeah, backup for sure.
Citybert watching on YouTube says the Shanahan system is basically the coach playing the quarterback. Who's the ideal guy in the NFL for that?
John Elway, Steve Young.
Kirk.
Honestly, like they've had success with Matt Schaub, Matt Ryan, Steve Young. Like there's a type. They can't develop quarterbacks. They can do everything but that. You give them a quarterback who's developed, they'll give them the scheme, the run game, the defense, they'll win. But you got to give them the quarterback. Mike had those quarterbacks. He inherited Elway. He inherited Young. You got Elway again. And then after that, it was no good. I think he was under 500 after that. Kyle, I mean, it is what it is. I think probably privately they would admit that this is something they don't do well. But the Kubiaks have done it. And Kyle has 2 Kubiaks on his staff right now. So maybe Purdy's their guy. I don't know. I don't know.
It is interesting about the quarterbacks that Kyle has had success with, though. They are all kind of yes, sir, no, sir, kind of personalities. Like Matt Ryan is a good, like a great locker room guy, but he's not like at least to my knowledge, he's not like a F you. I know what I'm doing. Get out of my way. Like I
need input on this offense, Kyle. We need to talk about this. I don't think he did that. I don't think Schaub did that. Aaron Rodgers would.
Right. And Rodgers.
Tom Brady would.
Rebelled at points in Green Bay. He did not like some of the things that were going on there. That is not what Kyle is looking for in a quarterback. And the thing with Brock is, even though Brock is supremely confident, I also think I think Brock's confidence is more of I'll do whatever you say and I'll freaking kill it. Get out of my way. But he's not like coming with his own, like, I'm doing this and you can't stop me. To me, it's a different kind of a mentality.
Yeah. And I think what they saw with Brock was he was playing a little bit of hero ball at Iowa State. That team wasn't good, and he had to do too much. All of a sudden, he comes to the Niners, and it looked like almost football was easier for him because his team was so. I mean, it's a level up in competition, but his team is so much better. He can just be a game manager and get celebrated for it. And I think the Niners are like, well, okay, like Sam Darnold's in the same position. Yeah, but Sam Darnold's struggles have all come in the NFL. Like, a lot of players in the league have faced him and are confident that they can kick his butt. And I don't know that Sam's all of a sudden going to find confidence and self-belief on the 49ers. I just feel like, I don't know. People point to Alex Smith. It happened all of a sudden for him, but I don't know.
Yeah, but did it really happen for Alex Smith? I mean, his best years were in Kansas City, away from he wasn't that good.
He was always a very cautious quarterback. It's not like he blossomed into a franchise quarterback. He was always kind of frustrating.
Errol Tolbert watching on YouTube says Debo put up a tweet giving Trey praise yesterday. I'm trying to find that tweet and I don't.
I'm blocked.
See it.
Debo blocked me.
No. He blocked you?
Last year.
I'm looking at the Twitter feed right now, and I don't see it. So if somebody can see it and put the text in the chat, I would appreciate it because I'd like to see that because it'd be nice to see Trey get a little praise. But
In Debo's defense, Debo and Ayuk are the only ones who really like take time out of their day to say things complimentary about Trey on the record. I mean, whenever Kittle tries, it always comes out as a backhanded compliment. But
yeah.
Debo and Ayuk kind of act like, hey, we like him. I mean, it's not our choice. He has to step up, but we still like him, which is nice. Nice to have someone say that.
Kittle sometimes like does a lot of those kind of backhanded compliments. Like when Brock started and Kittle showed up to the NFL Network set with the Jimmy shirt, and Brock was
like,
lame. What do you like?
That was lame. Yeah.
You know, like, and I like that Brock kind of called him out. I'd actually like to see Trey sort of step up and do that a little more. Like, stop letting people make jokes about your age. So, like take control a little bit. Brock's already.
Yeah, Brock did. And it felt like Trey kind of felt like, man, I can't do that. It's not my place. Jimmy's here. They haven't fully, the organization hasn't fully bought into me yet. They haven't gone all in with me. I have to be kind of nice. Well, whereas with Brock, like literally everyone was injured. And he's like, I have to do this for the sake of the team. George, nothing personal, but I have to tell you to shut up because if I don't, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. I love that about Brock too. It's like, look, man, I got to do this. I got to freaking do this. He was very savvy. Brock Purdy.
I will give Brock credit for recognizing that he needed to instill confidence in the team when he came in.
Yeah.
That the team was a little bit shaken because they were like, our Super Bowl season is circling the drain. And he came in and he was like, no, I'm going to show them that the train is still on the tracks. And he did. And it worked because now they love him.
Also, because like he had that, correct me if I have the timeline wrong, but he comes in for Jimmy, who gets hurt right at the beginning of that Miami game, kills it, and then then Baker Mayfield's available, and the Niners decide like not that they would have gotten Baker Mayfield, but they decided we don't need Baker Mayfield or Ben Roethlisberger or whatever. Like we're gonna ride with Brock Purdy. They may not have made that decision if he hadn't had a great first impression. If I got the timeline correct,
I don't remember specifically when Baker was available. But they wouldn't have gotten him because the Rams were ahead of them anyway. But I don't even think they put in a claim on Baker, if I remember.
But my point is, like, Brock knew that there were potentially other options out there for a team that's in the Super Bowl hunt to go get a quarterback who had a little bit more pedigree, maybe started a playoff game. And he was so forceful in his first impression that he made the whole organization feel like he could be the first rookie ever who could win a Super Bowl. They really believed that. They did. Yeah. And he came close. I mean, I guess.
Errol says, the Debo tweet says, the speed of Lamar Jackson, the arm strength of Josh Allen, the accuracy of Drew Brees, and the clutchness of Tom Brady, Trey Lance. I got to tell you, I don't see that tweet on his timeline. So I think you may be mistaken there, Errol, because I just looked and I didn't see it. I don't know if that's
maybe he took it down.
Yeah, or maybe, why would you take it down?
I don't think that really describes any quarterback in the world. The speed of Lamar Jackson, the arm strength of Josh Allen, the accuracy of Drew Brees, the clutchness of Tom Brady. There's no one that exists. That
Trey has not shown the clutchness of Tom Brady, and he's certainly not as fast as Lamar Jackson. So
that's like Victor Wembanyama right there. Wembanyama.
Yeah, what did Woj say? Adrian Wojnarowski said he's the most anticipated prospect in any sport ever, which is such an absurd. Like, was Andrew Luck not a thing? Was Tom Brady not a thing?
It's basketball. Stop trying to make basketball a thing. Basketball is like down the list, It's like professional football, college football, XFL, NBA. Like that's where you're at right there.
Like just to put it in perspective real quick before we get to the last thing on our schedule. The NFL just got $110 million for one game. Yeah. One game. Don't tell me about soccer, about how soccer is America's next big sport. Or Mark Cuban saying, the NFL, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. The NFL is headed for a slaughter. No, they're not, Mark. No, they're not. They're going to kick the hell out of the NBA for the next 50 years. So I just wanted to get that off my chest.
I would agree with that. I also think it was so it felt really rigged, the lottery. Like, you're telling me this French player is going to go to the Spurs where they had Tony Parker. Like, oh, okay, so the NBA really wants to make sure that this player succeeds because he could be the face of their league. And so you're sending him to an organization that's going to really take care of him because they had the track record. Like, oh, okay, that was just random, huh? Random.
Right, with a coach
Love that
has a history with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. So he knows how to maximize a big guy. Like, it's just
But it's like the most friendly organization to French players and international players. Like they invented that pipeline. Yeah, it's cool. Nice.
All right, so
Love
Errol he's campaigning hard that this Debo tweet is
Cool.
real.
He's paid like, yeah.
May 16th, he said. And he
Okay.
responded to comments on it. Like, did I just miss this?
Okay. Well, cool. Good for Debo, man. Because Kyle came out on the record and said, hey, Trey is a new guy. He's tweaked his mechanics. He finally made he literally said this. He made the mechanical changes we've been waiting for him to make. In his defense, this broken finger put the whole thing on hold for more than a year. He's finally had some time to work on it. He's cleaned up his base. He was very specific. And so, look, like Louis Riddick saying, I heard from a guy that they really like Darnold. Great, man. I mean, they gave him money. Like, they signed him. They had a lot of options. I'm sure there are things they like about Sam. Otherwise, what's the point? But from the guy who really matters, I mean, he's trying to be transparent. He said it on the record. Like, they're pleased with the progress of Trey. Now, it's like the first hurdle of 15, but it sounds like he cleared it. And that's a good thing. Like, I'd like to hear people like Louis Riddick talk about that. But maybe his source isn't impressed. I don't know.
I thought it was interesting that Kyle specifically said Trey has a much better base than last year. He didn't talk about the arm. He didn't talk about the throwing motion. He talked about his base, his lower half. That was really interesting to me. And I'm not saying that Trey's lower half is good or bad. I don't know. But
that's what I've been focused on.
Yes, you have. But most people, when they talk about Trey, they talk about everything from the waist up.
No. To me, what happens, and we've talked about it a lot, is he overstrides. He locks out his front leg, and at that moment on, it's all arm. And so the arm fatigue tracks. He's working too hard with his arm. If he would just like sync up his lower body with his upper body and not lock out his leg prematurely, then his arm would just be along for the ride. And you'd be providing the power with your hips and your actual entire body and not slowing your arm down. So, I mean, it's very important, and it sounds like he's doing it. Kyle can't fix it. Greasy can't fix it, but he was working with Patrick Mahomes all offseason and a new coach. So far, so good. Apparently, we'll see for ourselves in a week. We'll see for ourselves.
Right. Trey's got to do that Dak Prescott hip thing. I don't know what the hell that is.
It's important. You don't generate power from your arm. You generate it from your hip torque. Really, because you'll blow out your arm.
You'll
blow out your arm.
All right, let's get to, there's a quick super chat here. Thoughts on kicking Armstead back outside on early downs. Can Kinlaw be serviceable as a pure? No, Kinlaw cannot be serviceable because he can't stay on the damn field. We go through these stages with our draft picks, right? Where it's like, he's going to be an all-pro. And then he plays, he gets hurt, or he plays, he's not that good. And he's like, okay, well, he'll be a solid starter for us. And he continues to play, and he's not that good. He continues to get hurt. And now we're at the point where it's like, well, situationally, maybe he's just not good.
Hold on. Let me advocate for Javon Kinlaw because no one will anymore. Suddenly I'm his lawyer. Okay, so he got replaced. He's not a starter anymore. It's a fall from grace. It's rough. But D lines work best in a rotation anyway. And Hargrave, when he was at his best in Philly, was not playing 100% of the snaps or 80 or even 70. So if Kinlaw can play 30% of the snaps in a game and give you something, great, you'll take it. At this point, you'll freaking take it. So let's see if he can do that.
The issue with Kinlaw is more the injury than the physical ability. He seems to he looks like he's got the ability, but he cannot stay on the field. And his knee is not going to magically improve at this point. Like those type of chronic knee injuries do not get better over time. They get worse.
Yeah, and if he's going to be like this dominant run stuffer that they thought he was going to be and like hold his ground against double teams in this wide nine, because if you think about it, the D ends are way far out. Both D tackles are susceptible to double teams from guards and, from offensive linemen at any time. If he's going to hold his ground to that the way like Buckner couldn't necessarily all the time, he's got to have really strong knees and legs. Otherwise, you saw what happened in the NFC Championship game. He was on skates.
You got to have.
He was on skates. You have to. So
kicking Armstead back outside, I don't like it. He's not an end. He's just not, and he was great inside too. He was great. So to me,
good run stuffer out there, but he's a non-pass rusher out there, and he can't contain the quarterback in the pocket. So he's almost like a net negative out there. I don't like it at all.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, last thing I want to get to, and it's who the hell did the 49ers tick off at 345 Park Avenue at the NFL headquarters, because their schedule is rough. And this is something that I saw from Warren Sharp. And I want to throw this up on the screen here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. The 49ers have a net rest disadvantage on the year. The Niners opponents have 20 more days of rest than the 49ers do this year.
How does that happen? Can you explain that? Like, what does that mean? How does that happen?
First of all, the Niners are playing 4 teams coming off of a bye week.
Oh,
that's them and the Rams have the
most.
most.
I get it. So, like, in each of their matchups, who has more rest going into it?
Right.
Got it. That sucks.
Yes, it does. And, we keep saying, like, can the 49ers stay healthy, stay healthy, stay healthy? This is part of that. The more rest you have, the healthier you can get. And it's not great. The Niners play 5 games with a rest disadvantage in 2023.
Like major. So that's why it's -20, because there's like 5 games where it's like -5, -6.
One of the games is -8. I believe that's the game against the Seahawks. That's awful. Like that hurts, man.
Okay. But it does. It is good to know that this -20 is kind of like we're talking about 3 or 4 games here, 4 or 5 games, with a big disadvantage. The rest of the 12 games or so are fairly standard.
Right. So, like, for example,
the
Bengals game in week 8, right? Cincinnati has a plus 8 days of rest. That's the day, because the Niners play on Monday night in Minnesota in week 7. So they're coming a short week road game, and the Bengals are coming off a bye week. So, like, that game is going to be tough enough as it is. But then the
Bengals could come out early if they wanted to. They could do whatever the hell they want. They'll be fresh for that game.
Right. And so that is a legitimate thing that is going to have to be overcome, in addition to traveling the second most miles in the entire league, more miles than it takes to circle the globe at the equator. So that's a factor.
And I know you said who they piss off at the league office. I don't know, man. I feel like last year they had a real favorable schedule. I did all the traveling they did. I mean, after Atlanta, the only road trip they really had was Mexico City. But again, they spent a week in Denver preparing for it. So it was a home game for them. Like, I don't know. It feels like this is just life. It comes back around. Sorry, but this is a tough one.
Damn. Ken Ortega says, man, schedule and who we play has nothing to do with our same guys getting hurt every single season. Jesus. Oh no, our traveling
is so true. Blah, blah, I gotta give I gotta give him that. Like, the Niners, this is a problem, but it is not their number one problem. Their number one problem is quarterback staying healthy, and offensive line is 2, and this is like somewhere 3 or 4. I'm with K. Fair enough. Love you, Ken. Don't talk to me like if this goes wrong this year, like, oh, we got screwed in our schedule. Like, no, that's not what happened. You had an issue.
Yeah.
You ignored it.
I think it's both, right? When you're relying on guys that consistently get hurt, this doesn't help. Right. This is not improving things.
That's true. And they brag about their quarterback room like they wouldn't trade it right now for Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. Like, none of those teams would trade places with you. I'm sorry.
Exactly. How many other teams are looking at the 49ers?
None.
God, if we just had their quarterback. Of all the rooms, if I told the team you could take the 49ers room, any of them you want, are any of them taking the quarterback room? No.
Not even the Rams.
The linebackers, the D-line, whoever.
Yes.
No one's taking the friggin' quarterback room. Nobody.
Nope. So they can talk up Sam Darnold as much as they want. No, everyone's like, okay, let's see. Start him. Calling your bluff.
We got a couple more super chats here to get in before we go. Ryan and Jennifer Wood, just wanted to show some love since I haven't in a while. If we can stay healthy down the stretch, we're going to be hard to beat. I'm excited. # Trey Area. That's always the question with the 49ers.
Yeah.
Can they stay healthy?
Thank you very much. I'm just thinking, in Pittsburgh, don't you think quietly, privately, they're like really hoping Sam Darnold starts week 1? The Steelers. Yeah, and once they get, oh my God, they're like, that's not going to actually happen, right? Like, we're not just going to get to win week 1 because Darnold's out there, right? We might. Hey.
Right. They're starting Kenny Pickett, who Michelle Majuk, my Friday co-host, likes to call little tiny baby hands. Kenny Pickett. They're hoping for Sam Darnold.
They're starting their Sam Darnold over there.
Right.
Sam Darnold 2.0.
Papa Phil says, what was our plus minus last year? Maybe it evens out over multiple years. I don't know what the plus minus was last year. That's a fair question. And our boy Errol again. Wait, I might be mistaken. LOL. The account is 19 Solutions. That is not Deebo Samuel's account.
That's funny, man. That's hella funny.
Credit to you, man. You spent like $30 talking about
Errol. God love you, man.
Shout out.
That would have been news. If honestly, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Deebo did that, we would have had like 1,800 think pieces, 500 streams. It would have been a big deal.
Yep.
Sorry, Errol.
But you know what? He admitted it. I give him credit for that too. He admitted he was wrong.
No, he was on the pursuit of truth the entire time. You got to believe this is a journalist right here, Errol.
Love you. That's
Yeah.
why it's never good to be on Twitter while at work. Well, you do appreciate you watching the stream while you're at work, though. So thank you for that. Thanks to everybody
Absolutely.
in the chat that jumped in. We really, really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast YouTube channel and Grant Cohn's YouTube channel if you are not already subscribed. Thank you, Grant. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. What are you doing today?
I'm streaming all day, hanging out in my backyard. I just got a backyard set, a little sofa that's like, water resistant. So nice. I really feel like an adult. Hang out in my backyard.
That is hardcore adulting right there. When you're looking,
I got a hammock. I mean, I'm pretty much set for life now. I got a hammock. It's over.
Comfortable chair, good weather. That's pretty much all you're looking for when you get old.
That's right, baby. What about you?
Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, please. I got to get a haircut.
Chilling.
Look at this mop up here.
Being a dad. I don't got to do that yet.
Why do you got to say it like that?
Sorry, I can't wait. It's a gift.
It's got its good days and bad days. Not gonna. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you.